Hello readers and welcome back to my channel. I'm Katie Ward and I'm an award-winning self-published author. My debut novel The Pretender was a top 30 bestseller on Amazon, and I also contributed to the first ever Writers and Artists Guide to Self-Publishing that was printed by Bloomsbury Press in March 2020. Now, if you've joined me on this channel before and seen my previous videos, you'll know that I've told you all the great things about being a self-published author. But there is also a balance. So in this video today, I want to tell you some of the things that aren't such a great thing about being a self-published author, because believe it or not, there are a couple things that, do make the self-published route a lot harder. So stay tuned in this video and I will run through with you the 5 things that make self-publishing very difficult for an author. The biggest obstacle any self-published author faces is the upfront costs of having to produce their work. There is no readership for you if you're a newly self-published author, unless you're coming from an area where you've already been able to build up a fan base, in which case it probably would be quite easy for you. But if, like me, you were doing it kind of at the same time as producing your book, you've got no one to sell this book to. I can go out there, but I'm reaching such a small audience because no one knows anything about me or about my work. But yet I still have to stump up the £2,000 up front with all the odds stacked against me. And that's the most difficult thing. And it's the most daunting aspect, is to spend out a lot of money not knowing if you're going to get anything back. I suppose it's a gamble, and like much of life, I do believe that everything we do in life is a gamble. And, I think that's how I approach this. For me, I'm in a very fortunate position where I have a good day job that gives me the stability to be able to pay to produce my work and to do it of the best quality that I can. But not every author will be in that position. And I think that is some of the reason why you get a variance in quality when it comes to self-published work, because you'll have the authors like myself who can afford to do it really, really well, and you'll have others who are doing it on a shoestring because they really want to get their work out there. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, because I think if you've got a good book, if you've got a story that people love, people just have to like it. It just has to be well written, well edited, and give the reader value for money. And ultimately, as much as you can get a great cover and you can get all of the great things that make your book stand out, ultimately what gives your reader real satisfaction is what you have written in that book. It is the story, and that's what leaves the impression of you on your reader. So I would hope that authors wouldn't be put off, even if they did struggle to find money to produce it to the level that they would want to if they did have the money. There are things such as Kickstarter and other kind of crowdfunding platforms that you can use if you really do struggle, and that would be definitely something to look into. The cost of self-publishing is the biggest block to people being able to take the self-publishing route, and I think that's a real shame, because I think it really will take out some amazing talent from the industry. Number one issue around self-publishing is, of course, the cost, and it is always really, really daunting to have to put so much money into something you have no idea if anyone will like. The second thing that's really difficult for self-published authors is creating your team, because you have to go out there and find an editor, an illustrator, a designer, and all of the services that you need that you can't provide for yourself. If, like me, I can't draw to save my life. If I did my cover, well, to be honest, I wouldn't even get one sale because it would be dire. So, there's no way I could possibly ever draw my own cover at all. So as authors, we have to go out, we have to employ the services of others to create our work. And that can be really difficult, because if you go to an agent or you go to a publisher, they have all of these people on tap. They've got the contacts, they've got the kind of relationship already built up where they know that these people will do a fantastic job, and you do not have that luxury as a self-published author. And as I've learned, my first designer, who seemed absolutely fantastic, he had a great portfolio, he just disappeared with my money. And it was really, really difficult because I didn't have the experience to know whether there were signs beforehand that that was going to happen, or whether it was just something that happened and actually the guy, maybe he was a really good designer and maybe everything that he had was genuine, but maybe something happened and it enabled him to run off with my money effectively. Whatever happened, he ran off with my money and left me with no designer and no typography 2 weeks before my deadline. And luckily for me, I found another amazing designer who could do that for me, but it was a very hard lesson. And if I had done this through an agent or a publisher, that would never have happened. I have a really great team around me now, and I'm so grateful for that. But the point being, it's really hard to find those people when you don't really know what you're looking for. You don't necessarily know who the good people are, and you don't know whether you're going to get, conned or not. And you can end up making a costly mistake like I did. Luckily, I got mine back through my credit card providers. But the point is, it can be a minefield, and it is really difficult, and something that a traditionally published author wouldn't have to worry about. The third thing that really sucks about being a self-published author is the risk of financial loss. So as I've said in point 1, you have all the upfront costs and you have to pay for everything in advance, not knowing whether or not you are going to have a book that anyone even likes. And that lies in the biggest problem, is that maybe you produce a book that actually nobody does like, in which case you have a financial loss. And that really sucks, because that's when the gamble doesn't pay off. Luckily for me, people did like my work and it did pay off, and I was able to make money and to make back the money that I paid on it. But that doesn't happen for everyone. And I don't think that you could go into it thinking that you would definitely make your money back, because I think you may end up very, very disappointed. For me specifically, the way I went into this when I came to publish my work was to go, okay, I would spend £2,000 on a holiday, so I just won't go on holiday, and I will use that money, and if I lose it, so be it. It's 1 year, it's one holiday, I'm going to take it on that basis. So I was willing to lose that money that I put into it. I didn't look at it like I'm guaranteed to be successful, because actually I just didn't know. And I could have the best book in the world, but maybe I'm not very good at marketing it. Or maybe, there's another book that's 10 times better than mine that comes out at the same time. And there's a whole load of things that can make it really difficult. And you can't tell. There's loads of books out there that are fantastic and nobody knows about them. So just because you have a good book, just because you get good feedback, and just because people should like it, doesn't mean that they will. And that's a really difficult thing, and it puts you at risk of financial loss. And that really sucks about being a self-published author. The fourth reason self-publishing can suck sometimes is perhaps the most annoying one for me. Whenever it happens, I just feel that little bit of sinking in my stomach of, really? We're going to go here again, are we? And that is the stigma that is attached to self-publishing. And this, I think, is so needless, because if you've seen my first video, I go through the 5 authors that you didn't know were self-published, the likes of Stephen King, Charles Dickens, Jane Austen. They've all self-published, but people don't know that they've self-published. So there's no stigma. And at the time, I suppose maybe self-publishing was very different to the way it is today. But the point is, self-publishing has been a thing since the beginning of publishing. Benjamin Franklin, the founding father of America, he self-published for 26 years. And yet there is still this stigma attached to self-publishing, like you only self-publish because you're no good at writing, or you only self-publish because everyone hates your work. And it's always synonymous with low quality, it's always synonymous with a lack of something, that you must only do it because you lack something. And it really is really, really difficult when you put your heart and your soul to create really, really good fiction content, to really come up with the best cover, to really do everything that your audience wants, and to really think about them when you create this work, and to kind of have someone come back to you and then, you know, question why it is you've only become a self-published author, as if it's some kind of failure on your part. And I do find that very, very difficult, and it always sucks when it happens, but you know, it's from a lack of education. I hope by doing this channel and more authors like me coming into the self-publishing industry, maybe we can change that collectively so that people actually see self-publishing on a personal merit system rather than being tarring everyone with the same brush. And that's why the BRAG Medallion is so important to self-published authors, because it really does give us that ability to pull our work up and show the quality that we've been able to achieve through producing our work. And that's all you can do. And I think the more things like that happen, the more people will start to see that there is real quality, there are real hidden gems in the self-publishing industry, and people will want to read it more and more and more. And I think that is happening. I think people are much more open to reading self-published work. And I think that, watch this space, I think that stigma might be able to be overcome soon. The fifth really annoying thing about being a self-published author is that you don't really have any support. If you were a traditionally published author, you would have the services of an agent, and you would have services of a publisher, and they would bring with them a wealth of expertise and knowledge that would be very beneficial. You would still have to do the marketing yourself, but they would also have a marketing department that would help you. So you wouldn't be doing it alone. And that's one of the really difficult things about being a self-published author. On top of everything that I've already said, is that you have to market your work, you have to get it out there with, again, no knowledge and no understanding. And it's a real try as you go kind of approach that you have to take. I didn't know how to market before I did this book, but I learnt as I did it, which doesn't always make for fantastic results. Let's just say it that way. You know, you don't suddenly do it and realize that you were an expert all along. You work up, make a load of mistakes, think that's not working at all, so okay, let's try this. That worked a bit better, but still not great. Okay, what about this? Woohoo! Suddenly we're getting somewhere. And then maybe that thing that you tried that got you somewhere suddenly stops working, and then you have to do the whole process again. So it is constantly trying to find what works, trying to gauge what doesn't work, but giving it enough time to know whether it's showing signs that it could work, but knowing when to end it at the exact time so you don't end up overspending on something that doesn't work. And that constant need to know this stuff that you don't really know is very, very difficult. And that is my life right now. That is exactly where you find me, trying really hard to understand things that I haven't ever had to understand before. And it's been 2 years and I'm just feeling like I am actually starting to make some progress. So that might give you an indication of how long it can take to really make a mark with all these things that you have to do. Because I think if you think that, you know, 3-4 months down the line you'll have it sorted, I think you might be very disappointed there and unrealistic. And I don't think that that would help, because I think it would give you a feeling that you failed when actually you haven't failed. Just because something doesn't work out straight away is not a failure, especially in this industry. It's actually really important to keep your perspective and to really celebrate what goes well, to sustain you for when the things don't go so well. So it's not really helpful for you to take a win, fail kind of perspective. You've got to just look at it in the longer term, and you really have to push through the disappointments and hold out for the things that will just make everything worthwhile, because trust me, they absolutely will. I know when I got my award, that really was the icing on the cake for me. I had been feeling quite like I wasn't getting anywhere, like everyone hated my work. Surely if they did, it would be, you know, so much easier. And then I got that, and it gave me the boost to really keep going. And you just have to take those things as they come and try not to dwell on the negative things that will come your way. No one will be perfect, If you are perfect, great, fantastic for you. But for the majority of people, that's not how it's going to be. So yes, the fifth and final thing that sucks about being a self-published author is that you don't have the expertise or the support of a wider organization who knows about what they're doing to help you and guide you through the process. You have to find your own way. Thank you, readers, for joining me on this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so that you receive notifications of any new videos that come out. And also do share so that people can find my channel too, because I really do want to connect with lots more like-minded people that want to learn more about self-publishing. If you also would like to, please put a comment in the comments box just so that I know if you've liked it and what you've thought of it. And I hope you have a really great week, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.